review time. Pipe.
And oh, you got to understand this right here. With every single event, it has different buzzwords in it to take it down a certain road. Certain roads are for the Republicans and certain roads are for the Democrats to go down and to bicker and never realize what is actually going on in the whole situation. Say, for instance, if the whole situation is fake and manufactured, oh yeah, here we go here. This little thing, Melissa Harris Perry believes the beheading in Oklahoma was workplace violence. Oh yeah. So then we gotta, that's the Democrat stance, and then we gotta run over here to the Republican stance, but the way it looks, you're gonna see how it looks. It looks so ridiculous, but check it out.
I want to call it terror. He's a criminal, even though all over his Facebook page, this guy in Oklahoma,
all over the place.
Everything's the Quran. Everything's about videos and hating Jews.
This guy was a violent criminal when he was a Christian. Don't forget that.
He's a terrorist.
Why can't you say that?
He's a terrorist.
Okay, he may be.
And of course, they wouldn't call it a terrorist act.
9/11 hijackers, criminals are terrorists.
Is he part of the...
This is not for them to argue. This is for you.
His cell? Sean, are we back to that?
Don't name him
You're
as a
supposed to
Muslim
look like this.
Terrorist.
Don't give him the name of Islam for that.
Terrorist or criminal?
Don't name Islam to it. As long as you don't attach Islam to it, he's a terrorist.
He's an Islamic radical.
No, he's not Islam. He's a radical. He's not Islamic radical.
Tactic. It's not a group, and he is using a He's using a tactic to change people's beliefs.
But he's a terrorist
sympathizer.
That's right, Sean.
That makes him a terrorist. What he just said right. It's a tactic he's using. It's not a belief.
Can I just say that this is part of ISIS's strategy. They want lone wolf terrorists here in America.
Do you think ISIS targeted this guy? You think ISIS?
Well, let me
propaganda leads to
all of these stuff.
Let me give you the timeline. The timeline is.
Into it, you are giving.
It's all about Islam. What do you mean?
So it can become your own.
You can't remove Islam from
Islam
this.
preachers going back.
Like, oh yeah, she's right. I agree with her.
By you buying into it, you're allowing them to recruit that kind of thing.
Let me help you with the timeline.
Yeah,
the timeline is simple. 3 days prior to the beheading in Oklahoma, the head of ISIS called for lone wolves to do specific things, bomb cars, and behead people. Mere coincidence. How often do you read about beheading?
Well, here's the thing. This guy used the guise of terrorism or ISIS or all these things to commit a crime. But wait. Don't forget, he wasn't a random act of violence to further the desires of ISIS. It was someone in his former place of employment where he was disgruntled.
Carl?
Anybody.
The fact that you're unwilling to admit this is going to make it easier for them to fight this war on our front lawns. You need to acknowledge the fact that they are here and they are going to do whatever it is they've been trained to do and what they believe in doing, which is beheading people.
The Twitter is out today. Today's Twitter has the ISIS people telling you, we know where you live, soldiers' families, we're going to get your addresses.
Nicholas,
somewhere.
I think he, as far as the ISIS situation, yeah, he was a group or a member of ISIS. I mean, there's no ifs and buts about it.
Look at that guy.
On his Facebook, he talked about being a part of. He supported them. In my opinion, he was a part of ISIS. He's a terrorist. There's no.
We lose our focus on what.
Hold on, one at a time, Doug.
We lose our focus on what President Bush said. And yes, Sean, a Democrat saying President Bush was right about short-term and long-term because we're so busy arguing about is he a terrorist, not a terrorist, a criminal. It's our values, not character.
Isn't it embarrassing that Bibi Netanyahu is the only adult on the world stage, and it's embarrassing to hear how weak our president is?
Well, and look, President Obama is doing the
your
best
president's
that he can.
weak.
No, President Obama has a strategy, and when he said Islam is not terror, he was telling the correct information. We make a grave and very dangerous mistake when we start conflating jihadism with either mental illness or criminal activity. Sakarius Moussaoui, who was the so-called 20th hijacker, when he went into trial, his public defender tried to claim that he was crazy, and he slammed the desk and he said, I am not crazy, I am a jihadi.
Ainsley, you want to make a point?
I was just saying that
tell me all the people
I think that this guy
stupid?
is a terrorist. On his Facebook page, he has a picture of ISIS, and you guys are saying that he's not a member of ISIS. It's not like a fraternity where you have to be asked to join and you have to have an initiation.
Well,
either you are or you aren't.
Many of the members of ISIS were former leaders under Saddam Hussein. They are part of an organization.
Coming up, we're going to have more Hannity coming up right after this break. Straight ahead. Well, his predecessor, President George W. Bush, Bush not only predicted the current crisis and what would happen if we pulled out of Iraq too early, but is now offering a message to the American people about what's happening.
And we're not going to listen to that because these are handcrafted events. Of course they can make it line up to a certain prediction. But yeah, that hot mess you just watched, thought you should know about that. Redsilverj, all I gotta say.